So, good day everyone, no? First of all, I'm Janelle P. Valenzuela, BPED 2. My report is all about Teacher Education Institution. Teachers Education Institution, Philippine Association for Teacher Education, or also known PAFTE. PAFTE is an association composed of deans, professors, and instructors from colleges of education from both private and government universities, and school heads, supervisors, and cooperating teachers of government and private school. This organization conduct education tour to collaborate and share expertise. It is also a professional learning community of world-class teacher educators as stated by their vision. Next is the State Universities and Colleges Teachers Educators Association, or also known SOCTE. SOCTE includes all state colleges of education as member, and this association they invite or request an expert in assessment and evaluation of learning to deliver a quality teachers educations. It gives also a lot of idea to become an expert to their specialization. Next is the national organization, FAAP, or also known Federation of Accrediting Associations of the Philippines. FAAP is a group of agencies whose main function is to conduct accreditation of the educational qualifications and facilities starting from the administration or example of that is admin, and curriculum is example of that is they use K-12 curriculum. Faculty profile if they qualified to instruct student, that is faculty profile for me. And learning environment is they check if the facilities suitable to the learning of children. Learning environment, example of this are the Philippine Association of Colleges and Universities Commission on Accreditation, or also known PACOQA. And next is the Philippine Accrediting Agency for School, Colleges, and Universities, or also known PAASCO. And next, ACOP. ACOP is Association for Accrediting Colleges and Universities of the Philippines. Networking with Foundation. Networking with Foundation is understanding the foundation of networking is paramount for any IT professional, according to Timothy Pintelo. A network is a system interconnected computers and devices that operate interactively. The example of networking with foundation first is the Educational Research and Development Assistant, or also known ERDA. ERDA is it help out of school youth. They support programs and services in health, livelihood, and education. This foundation organizes 128 children association nationwide. It also known as National Federation of Children Association. ERDA is the Educational Research and Development Assistant Foundation, INC. ERDA is founded in 1974. ERDA is a non-profit organization officially registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or also known as SEC. It working in the DepEd and DSWD and government agencies. Next example is Metrobank INC. Metrobank INC is they have own flagship project in education. This is the search for outstanding teachers. It yearly recognizes and honors the outstanding teachers in 3 educational levels from schools nationwide. They incorporate social responsibility on the teaching profession by honoring teachers who devote their lives to the development of the youth with exemplary competence and dedication. In 1985 to 2006, they have 356 teachers awardees. They implement the foundation of various programs in visual arts, healthcare, math challenge, and other scholarship programs. The foundation has since become one of the largest and most respected charitable organizations in Asia. Next is Network of Outstanding Teachers and Educators, or also known NOTED. NOTED, they committed the nurturing in culture of excellence and service among educators through professional development, publication, research, and advocacy in active partnership with government and non-government organizations. NOTED aims to serve as conduit of Filipino teachers, excellence, engagement, and empowerment by providing response and functional excellence drive programs and projects to teachers and educators across level of educations. Next is Ayala Foundation INC, or also known AFI. Ayala Foundation INC is a non-profit organization that serves as the social cultural development arm of the Ayala Group companies, which work to fulfill the needs of the whole person, and they committed to work for the cultivation of Filipino ingenuity and talent, as well as the preservation of our rich culture, history, and traditions. AFI develops, implements, and sustains programs in various fields of social and cultural development. Its 4 core programs are education, youth, leadership, sustainable livelihood, and arts and culture. Next is GMA Foundation. GMA Foundation is their foundation is mission to give hope and a future to the Filipino family by safeguarding human rights and upgrading standard of education. Their program promote literacy and education to donate a book and merit scholarship. GMA Foundation is a non-stock, non-profit, charitable institution was founded in 1991 in response to the need of displaced Filipinos during the Mount Pinatubo eruption and the tragedy at Ormoc. Next is the SM Foundation. SM Foundation, it helps public schools and communities libraries according to their yearly project, which collects books and educational materials from the public. They plan to collect more book donation from business donors and distributes to public school and community libraries nationwide. The SM Foundation INC was founded by Henry C. Sr. and Felicidad T.C. in 1983 with the aim to help the less fortunate in the communities it serves. Next is the Foundation for Upgrading Standard in Education, or also known FUSE. Foundation for Upgrading Standard in Education, they supports program for teachers of English, Science, and Mathematics, and they have via television, or also known CONSTEL project that they accord of 40 episodes in government television channels, and it helps to produce thousands of tapes and distributed to the secondary school and teacher training institution nationwide. They acknowledge the teachers' full scholarship to pursue doctorate degree in science and mathematics. The principal goal of FUSE is to help strengthen through training program teaching effectiveness, especially in science and mathematics and English. Next is Philippine Foundation for Science and Technology, or also known PEST. This foundation have a Philippine Science Centrum as its flagship project. Their foundation reaches out to towns, cities, and provincial capital through traveling exhibition and outreach program. And almost 300 visitors have been accommodated by the Centrum. Next is the Book for Barrio and Asia Foundation. This foundation helps public, private elementary and secondary school by donating books and other printed materials. Book for Barrios is a non-profit organization dedicated to strengthening elementary school education in the Philippines. Next is Bato Balani Foundation. Bato Balani Foundation, they give privilege the teachers through program to inspiring stories of teachers as it opens its research for role model in the teaching profession with the many faces of the teachers. Next is Philippine Business for Education, or also known PBED. Their business community responds that they need consensus and sustained advocacy to education reform. The purpose of Philippine Business for Education first is to nurture consensus on key direction in education reform and to initiate and lead to action toward those direction. Second, to identify best opportunities to pursuing strategic action that virtually direct, accelerate, broaden, or sustain education. Third, to inform consideration such strategic action with the best available knowledge and information. And fourth, to mobilize commitment to support consensus on the specific nature of desired strategic action. Philippine Business for Education is a non-profit organization founded in 2006 by top CEOs in the country. Philippine Business for Education is the business community response to the need for greater education and economy alignment. And that's all.
Good morning everyone. Here are some networks on how the government office helps students and the out-of-school youths. Here are also some additional networks of the government at Alternative Learning Program, or the ALS. ALS is a parallel learning program or learning systems in the Philippines that provides a practical option to the existing formal instruction. When one does not have or cannot access formal education in schools, ALS is an alternative or substitute. ALS can includes both the non-formal and informal sources of knowledge and skills. There are two major programs on ALS that are being implemented by the Department of Education through the Bureau of Alternative Learning System, BALS. One is the Basic Literacy Program and the other is the Continuing Education Program. Accreditation and Equivalency, A&E, Both programs are modular and flexible. This means that learning can take place anytime and any place, depending on the convenience and availability of the learners. The other network, some government officials have their own scholarship program that helps and provides some qualified students on their allowance and tuitions in exchange to this help that students need to maintain a higher grade. Aside also about the network of the government office media also has different network on how they help students. This network is very helpful to the lack of beneficiary of their parents. There are networking with media. Media has a big impact to educational purposes like the private channels, ABS-CBN and GMA Foundation provide the assistance of the children and teachers through their education broadcast, and they provide the educational materials like school buildings. The government and private channels, they including the award-winning entries to the national competition in the fields of education sports, like for example, they use the competition of the Asia Quiz Bowl, and for the sports that they aired, the first ever claimed the gold medal in gymnastics, Carlos Idrel Yulo, and he is from the Adamson University. Because of his sports, he is a scholar student in their school. The publication of newspaper and magazine and the other reading materials for educational purposes are rich sources of information that helps the student gain more knowledge, and reading the publication and printings reading will provide valuable insights and enlightenment to the students and helps to understand well the surroundings. It pays for the teacher in the classroom and in community to establish linkages with local, national, and international associations. On Becoming a Global Teacher by Purita P. Bilbao, ed. Introduction. Our world has been called a global village. Satellite communications make possible television, telephone, and documents transmitted through fax and electronic mails across thousands of miles in thousands of seconds. A student can view global warfare in the Middle East, famine in Africa, industrial pollution in Europe, or industrial breakthrough in Korea or Japan through a World Wide Web of the informational highway. World Wide Web is one of the biggest helpful to the students. You cannot search without World Wide Web or the WW. Global education possesses a variety of goals ranging from increased knowledge about the peoples of the world to resolution of global problems, from increased fluency in foreign language to the development of the more tolerant attitudes towards other cultures and peoples. Global education embraces today's challenges as national borders are opened. It paves the way of borders education to expand the needs of education children of the world they are entering. It offers new curricular dimensions and possibility current scientific and technological breakthroughs for completely new frontiers in education. Contemporary curricula respond to the concept of the global village, the increased use of technology in the classroom, the incorporation of changing realities of the world society, and the ease of mobility of people of the world have become challenge to your preparation of prospective teachers. Hence, future teachers like yours should prepare to respond to these multiple challenges. To become a global teacher, you should be equipped with wider range of knowledge of the various educational systems outside the country, master skills and competency which can address global demands, and possess attitudes and values that are acceptable to multicultural communities. When you are able to satisfy these benchmark requirements, then you can safely say you have prepared well to be great teachers of the world. As a future teachers, think globally but act locally. You can be a global teacher by being the best teacher in your school. In order to achieve that all, we need to be global teacher in global competency in contemporary curricular response to concept of the global village. We need to be more understanding to our students and be patient to our students so that we can be the best teacher in our students. That's all.
Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Jan Tabada, BPED student. Lesson 1 in our chapter 3 is about global education and global teaching. Our lesson 1 will introduce the general concept of global education and define the global teacher. When you understand the two concepts, you will be able to have a clear perspective in how to be a global teacher and prepare yourself. In order to prepare children's future, teacher needs to explore what future holds. Teacher have to envision creative, innovative ways to prepare diverse learners in their own cultural context without forgetting that they live in global village. In order to compete globally, teacher need to be capable of changing lifelong education needs. We have 4 questions to be remembered. First, how do you prepare for these needs? Second, what are the emerging technologies that will shape the future? Third, how can we use technologies for best learning advantage? And lastly, the fourth, what will be the jobs of the future and how should curricula be shaped to prepare students for the future? We will be teaching in flat world or one planet schoolhouse. These two terms imply global education as a result of the shrinking world due to access of technology. Internet globalized communication by allowing users from around the world to connect to one another. So, we will start in the first concept, which is global education. Global education has been described in 2 definitions. Our first definition is about UNESCO. UNESCO defines global education as a goal to become aware of education conditions or lack of it in developing countries worldwide and aim to educate all peoples to a certain world standards. Our second is that global education is a curriculum that is international in scope, which prepares youth around the world to function in one environment who are intellectually, professionally, and humanistically prepared. There are 6 goals that United States entered to an agreement to achieve standard worldwide education in 2015. First, expand early childhood care education. Second, provide free and compulsory primary education for all. Third, promote learning and life skills for young and adult. Fourth, increase adult literacy by 50%. Fifth, achieve gender parity by 2005, gender equality by 2015, and 6, improve quality of education. In 2000, the Philippines committed itself to the above EFA 2015 goals at the World Education Forum in Dakar. James Beaker, 1982, defined global education as an effort to help individuals learners to see the world as a single and global system and to see themselves as a participant in that system. He said that it is a school curriculum that has a standard in teaching and learning. In his article called Goals of Global Education, Becker emphasized that global education incorporates into the curriculum and education experience of each students, a knowledge and empathy of cultures of the nation and the world. Thus, to meet the various global challenge of the future, 21st century learning goals have been established as base of various curricula worldwide. These learning goals include: first is 21st century content. Emerging content areas such as global awareness, financial, economic, business, and entrepreneurial literacy, civic literacy, and health and awareness. Next is learning and thinking skills. Critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Communication, creativity, and innovation. Collaboration, contextual learning, information and media literacy. Okay. Next is ICT literacy. Using technology in a context of learning so students know how to learn. Next is life skills. Leadership, ethics, accountability, personal responsibility, and self-direction in others. Next is 21st century assessments. Authentic assessments that measures the areas of learning. Global education is all about diversity, understanding the differences and teaching the different cultural groups in order to achieve the goals of global education as presented by the United Nations. Global education addresses the need of the smallest schools to the largest classrooms in the world. It responds to the borderless that defies distance and geographical locations. Thus, global education provides equal opportunity and access to knowledge and learning tools which are the basic rights of every child in the global community. Our pre-service teachers prepared to provide global education in their respective future schools assignments. Are you preparing yourself to become a global teacher? So, here we are in our next concept, global teacher. Looking back to the concept of global education, how do we define now global teacher? Is this teacher somebody who teach abroad? Is this person teaching anywhere in the world and is able to teach the 21st century learning goals? These are some of the fundamental questions which should be answered in order to understand the global teacher is. So, who is global teacher? Global teacher is the competent teacher who is armed with enough skills, appropriate attitude and universal values to teach students with both time-tested as well as modern technologies in education in any place in the world. He or she is someone who thinks and acts both locally and globally, with worldwide perspective, right in the communities where he or she is situated. More specifically, a global Filipino teacher should have following qualities and characteristics in addition to knowledge, skills, and values. First is, understands how this world interconnected. Recognize that the world has rich variety of ways of life. Has a vision of the future and sees the future would be for himself or herself and the students. Next is must be creative and innovative. Must understand, respect, and tolerant of diversity of cultures. Next is must believe and take actions for education that will sustain the future. Next is must be able to facilitate digitally mediated learning. Next is must have deep knowledge and must possess good communication skills for Filipino teachers to be multilingual. So, Filipino teachers need to be multilingual in order to teach globally. And lastly, but more importantly, teacher must possess the competencies of a professional teacher as embodied in the National Competency Based Standards for Teachers. or what we call NCBTS. The need for global teachers is on the rise of several countries worldwide. Even developed countries are in dire need of competent teachers who will man the country's rural and urban classrooms. This is true with our neighboring countries like Singapore, Cambodia, and Thailand. The regional data of United Nations shows the number of teaching posts needed by 2015. This table shows the teaching posts needed by 2015, which you may avail of if you are qualified. The data themselves show that indeed qualified global teachers that will be demand by 2015. Can your prospective teachers fill in this gap? So that is global education and global teacher. Global education is a concept that brings us to understand the connectivity of each member citizen in the planet. The advancement of technology shrunk the world to a size that anyone can be reached. Because of this advancement of technology, we have to learn the diversity and differences in cultures in order to address the standard set by the United Nations. Global education requires future teachers to have the 21st century skills so that they can play a significant role and provide educational access on all different types of learners all over the world. These so-called teachers are what we call global teachers. There are millions of teachers needed now and in the future. So that would be all. Thank you.